That I was a felon, and that sometime in my life I was on the run facing 1 to 5 years for manufacturing with intent to deliver drugs. Would you believe me? I mean, drug dealers and manufacturers are criminals. They're thugs and gangsters, threat to our society, and they ruin the safety of our communities. And if you're like me, you want your community to be safe and drug-free. I want my children to be able to go to school without the fear of violence, tested with drugs. Excuse me. I don't want to have 3 or 4 locks on my front door, or have to be worried that my car stereo is going to be stolen for the 5th time. However, contrary to what people believe, I do have a drug felony. But I am not a criminal. I made a mistake. It was 4 years ago that I was caught growing personal use marijuana in my home. But here I am today, giving a speech in school, having graduated my SAS program, creating a positive and better future for myself. So some felons like myself want the same things that you do. We made mistakes, and we want to change our lives for the better. But the problem is there's a lot of people out there just like me that won't have the opportunity to make the changes that I've been able to make. Many people believe that prison is just for punishment, period, and that criminals are a waste of time. However, with the proper programs and opportunities, rehabilitation can surpass punishment. But in order to lower repeat and petty crimes in communities and ensure inmates have successful integration into society, changes must be made. According to Derek Jeffries, author of the 2015 article, A Damaging Restitution of Commonwealth, 700,000 inmates are released from U.S. prisons and jails every year. Some have been there for so long that the world around them as they know it has completely changed. They have no resources. Their family and friends may have turned their back on them. They have no skills, no job, and no home. So what's the result of that? Well, in 2014, Drs. Cooper, DuRose, and Snyder released information for the U.S. Department of Justice about this very subject. The article was titled Recidivism of Prisoners Released in 30 States in 2005, Patterns from 2005 to 2010. Now, during this time period, they found that 67.8% of the 404,638 inmates that were released were rearrested within 3 years. Nebraska was one of the states that was monitored in this study. Therefore, the prison system in the U.S. has become a rotating door for prisoners. And according to a 2013 article called People Not Prisoners, the reason for this is that the U.S. Justice Department focuses more on retribution and not enough on rehabilitation. But unlike the U.S., European countries such as Germany have implemented shorter prison terms and longer rehabilitation programs. In the article, they say the reason European countries do this is because they look at prison as an opportunity to reform lawbreakers and have them re-enter successfully into society. And the result of this is intriguing. The article goes on to explain that in Germany, they jail on average 79 out of 100,000 residents per year, whereas the United States incarcerates 716 per 100,000. A lot of these are repeat offenders, and you can see that this is a big difference. Based upon this information, it's apparent to me that the U.S. prison system needs to look more towards rehabilitating inmates instead of throwing them in jail, throwing away the key, and expecting us as a society to clean up the mess afterwards. To help lower the rate of repeat offenders, the government needs to implement specific programs geared toward giving inmates the tools and opportunities to successfully integrate. It will also help us experience less petty crimes in our communities. Therefore, I am lobbying for mandatory work release and reentry programs for all inmates prior to release, giving them an opportunity to find employment, housing, complete schooling, find community resources, and most importantly, to find positive support groups. These are the necessary skills that inmates do need to be successful when they come out of prison, and it will give them less of a reason to have to reoffend. Because most inmates, when they get out of jail, are getting out with the same problems they went into jail with. Some of them have financial issues, drug and alcohol addictions, family issues, mental health issues. And if we send them to jail with no rehabilitation and we let them out, they're going to have those same exact problems. Except now they have a criminal record, which makes it even harder to be successful. Doris L. McKenzie wrote a book in 2006 called What Works in Corrections. And I found it startling that in the first 70 years of the 20th century, the United States prison systems had a large focus on rehabilitation. But it wasn't until this last 30 years that they changed their philosophies and focus to retribution over rehabilitation. But now is the time to move that focus back to rehabilitation. A reporter for the National Catholic Reporter by the name of Soli Salgado published an article in April of this year about groups coming together and lobbying in Missouri to fight for new incarceration laws. The reason? As I said before, some of these people have been in prison for 20 years. Not only has the world around them changed, but they may have changed. They may have changed their way of thinking. They may have been violent. They may have made mistakes. They may have had financial issues, family issues, just to name a few. But after 20 years, a lot can change. The point is, with long prison sentences and little rehabilitation, they don't have the time to attend the vocational and educational programs. So the lobbyists are calling for shorter prison terms and longer rehabilitation times. These programs do make a difference, and they can help keep our communities safer and help offenders to not reoffend. Grant Dewey posted an article last year on the recidivism rates in Minnesota regarding work release programs. Now, with work release alone, with no other reentry programs involved, Minnesota saw a 16% decrease in rearrest rates and a 17% decrease in rearrests for a different crime just in 1 year. Now, although these numbers may seem minute, the more we offer, the more results we can see. Rehabilitation and reentry programs, as well as work release, all benefit the inmates and the community, especially when they're paired with jail time. Therefore, we need to start speaking up for those who can't speak for themselves. We need to push our state officials, government officials, and prison systems to focus more on rehabilitating inmates, helping them to reintegrate into society and be successful. Stand up and protest. Write our current mayor, governor, prison officials. Their information is right here on the board. Even more so, offer ex-offenders opportunities in school programs and in the workforce. I can say with experience that even programs that SCC offers for education, it can be very hard for me to get in those programs because of my criminal background. So don't turn your back on people like me, because not everyone who's committed a crime is a criminal. In the words of the author of People Not Prisoners, if you treat them like people, they will act like people. I can't say where I'd be today without the SAS program or probation. And actually, I'm really excited because in my notes it says the 21st, but I'm officially off probation as of today. So I completed my program, But it's been a long, hard road. However, if it wasn't for the opportunities that I have been given, I may have ended up reoffending and already back in prison. We want to keep our community safe, and we want to keep our children safe, and we want to keep criminals off the street. However, if we don't take time to rehabilitate those who can change, or even try to do so, then why release anyone from jail? We'll continue to see reoffenders of petty crimes, burglaries, drug offenses, and assaults, because they're coming out with the same problems they went in with. I didn't become successful alone. I had help. Instead of them just throwing me in jail, they made me go to 1 year of outpatient treatment, counseling, made it mandatory for me to get a job and keep a job. They made me have cognitive treatment, and most importantly, build a positive support group. So it took me away from the people that I was associating with for me to be successful. I'm proud of my accomplishments, and I'm proud to share them with you. The proof is there. Rehabilitation can help inmates to deter from repeat offending, but we have to ensure this happens. We fight for and against abortion and for or against legalization of marijuana. Why? Because these things are important to us. So why don't we start being passionate about our fellow man? Take down those names and addresses and write them. Stand up for something that can change everyone that's involved. I thank you for your support.